Well, hello again. Well, it didn't take long, did it? The UFO fanboys are jumping up and down. Coulthard is using words like piffle and poppycock to describe the AARO report volume 1. Now, piffle and poppycock are not generally used in the Australian vocabulary, which makes me wonder if Mr. Coulthard isn't having a bit of a sneaky peek at my videos. Well, I hope so anyway, because if he does watch this, perhaps he can explain to everybody why, as an investigative journalist, he hasn't done any of the investigations that Mr. Stephen Greenstreet has done. I think Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post has shown very clearly that all this ET stuff is complete and utter rubbish. I'll leave a link to it. He's got a live stream running at the moment, which is just all the stuff he's done on a continuous loop. I'll leave a link to that below. I left a link to it below yesterday as well, but I'll leave a link to it below today too. So take a look at that, and then ask yourself why a lot of these UFO piffle-peddlers, these piffle-peddlers, so let's keep UFOs and ET separate, are bagging Stephen Greenstreet. You know, a lot of them don't like him, and Stephen Greenstreet, yeah, But what they don't do is debunk what he's saying in detail. They don't look at what he's presenting and then say this is inaccurate because, and move on to the next thing. This is inaccurate because none of it is inaccurate. He clearly shows how ORSAP and ATIP were operated by the Pentagon. You know, who set it up, how much money was involved, what they were actually doing. You know, Bigelow got $22 million to investigate his own ranch, didn't he? And that, there really is no substance to any of this ET nonsense. It really is just a load of crap. Luis Elizondo has said, well, there's no going back now. You know, this is going to be the year. It's all bubbling away under the surface, ready to break through at any minute. But of course he can't say anything else, can he? Because he doesn't want his book deal to evaporate, as I said yesterday. Some of this might be a little bit repetitive, but apologies for that. It's just looking at some of the pushback, and it just I was watching Ross Coulthard and I was falling about laughing, absolutely falling about laughing. You can tell he's seriously upset. It's almost as bad as the video he did where everyone was what was it? I can't remember what it. I did a video showing him saying this over and over, puerile and. It definitely looks like someone's taken a dump in his cornflakes to me. But what he's not doing is he's not pointing out where Stephen Greenstreet is going wrong. I don't think he even mentioned Stephen Greenstreet. And the reason for that, I think, is that he knows that Stephen Greenstreet's done a very good job of debunking it all. And Ross Coulthard wants to keep all this nonsense alive. Now, Ross Coulthard has said in a couple of interviews that he doesn't even think it's ET. He thinks the most likely explanation for all this is NHI, non-human intelligence from another dimension. I can sense all these other dimensions all around me. There's crowds of people in this one here. It's just on my right shoulder here. It's a football crowd in another dimension watching a football game. These people have got no idea, have they? So Luis Elizondo doesn't want his book deal to evaporate, so it's all coming. He's like a coiled spring, Luis Elizondo. He's ready to pounce and disclose and release all this information. But he has to say that because his publisher will be wanting to hear that. His publisher is waiting with bated breath for all these ET secrets that Lua Elizondo is going to espouse. I strongly suspect that if he does espouse any ET secrets, they'll have as much validity as Whitley Strieber's encounters, or Mr. Bledsoe's encounters, or Travis Walton's encounters, or Betty and Barney Hill. There is no tangible evidence to support any of this extraterrestrial nonsense. And apparently Gary Nolan, someone was saying, I watched a video and they were saying that Gary Nolan has said, the little Atacama alien that I think Stephen Greer and Richard Dolan were putting forward. Sounding a bit like Sid James there, wasn't I? But I can't help it. I put a line through Greer. This is all personal opinion, of course. I put a line through Greer and Dolan and all these Piffle-Peddlers years ago. But they put forward this little tiny Atacama alien. And surprisingly enough, Gary Nolan analysed it and he said, it's human. It's got human DNA, But apparently off camera, what he said was that it was human DNA, but it had been made by an alien. Now, I haven't seen Gary Nolan say this, so I'll apologise to Gary Nolan if this is not true. But this is what I saw this morning, and I thought, well, what's he sort of insinuating here? That, an alien fathered this little thing that died? Is that what he means when he says an alien made this? I don't suppose he thinks an alien sat in his flying saucer, making it out of pipe cleaners, But the chances of an alien species being able to produce offspring with us, I would think, would be pretty close to nil. I mean, we can't produce offspring with anything here on Earth, can we? There's some sort of monkey, is it a chimpanzee or something, that's 99-point-something% the same DNA as us? They look pretty dissimilar, don't they? But even with that close a DNA match, we can't produce offspring with them. Now, I'm sure many people have tried. Just hold that tail out of the way for me for a minute, will you? But as far as I'm aware, nobody's ever produced offspring, with any kind of monkey, any kind of ape. 99-point-something% the same DNA as us. So the chances of an alien fathering a child with a human female, I would say, would be nil. And if you look at these other aliens put forward by the guy that, strangely enough, has a history of putting forward fake aliens and getting discovered. So why would anybody take this guy seriously? But he's putting some more forward, more aliens forward, and they've got like three fingers, three fingers on each hand. That's what they look like. No opposing thumbs. How exactly are they going to build any technology? They can't go through an industrial revolution. They can't go through a technological revolution. They're not going to be able to build a spacecraft and get here, are they? So these things are fabricated, I would suggest. Just like the other aliens he's put forward. Made out of bits of monkey and bits of deer and all that. He's probably trying to get some more exotic parts, maybe some bits of a dino beaver, tap Bob Bigelow or Mr. Frugalup for a bit of dino beaver. But of course, just to throw in the mix, just to make it a little more exotic. But of course he can't do that because they haven't got any samples of dino beaver from Skinwalker Ranch. If you're not across that story, don't bother with it. It's complete and utter nonsense. There's no dino beavers. They haven't got a picture of a dino beaver. They haven't even got a crayon drawing of a dino beaver. Oh dear. Anyway, it's getting more and more ludicrous as this goes on. This This currently what's going on at the moment. Tim Burchett is an industry. These guys are frauds. Would have been nice if he'd been a bit more specific about who he was talking about. Well, I think it's becoming apparent. Most people are thinking, this is all a load of bloody rubbish. You've got the AARO releasing volume 1 of their report, quite a thorough report. They said they've been and interviewed people at aerospace companies, and they say they know nothing about it. Ross Coulthard said, well, they didn't get search warrant and kick the doors down and go and see. If you've got a government department that's tasked with finding this stuff, and especially if the government is paying for it, the executives are going to be across it, and they're going to be talking to them, aren't they? If I'm running Lockheed Martin and this guy Sean Kirkpatrick comes to me and says, have you got this ET material? Well, I'd say, well, you have. You sent it to us. You pay us to recover it. I wouldn't say I don't know what the hell you're talking about. That makes no sense at all, does it? It doesn't matter what aerospace company it is. They're not going to be hiding any of this stuff. As I've said before, just one person could come forward with a sample of ET material, and they'd be made for life. They'd get a Nobel Prize. They'd be world famous. It would be such a monumental announcement. Not one person from one company or one government anywhere in the world has come forward and said, here's a bit of ET material, get it peer reviewed, analyse it at different universities. Not one person on the entire planet has done that. And that's because none of it exists. It's all complete and utter rubbish. And you've got all the infighting again with the people. Of course, you've got Elizondo and Greer. I forgot to mention that yesterday. They're at each other's throats. As well as Danny Sheehan and Travis Taylor. Travis Taylor. Eric Davis and Bob Lazar. Oh, dearie me. And no one has come forward. And as I said yesterday, Ross Coulthard, investigative journalist, he could very easily investigate all the stuff Stephen Greenstreet's putting out there and debunk it if it was incorrect. He's not doing that. Ross Coulthard could say, if it's a lot of piffle, it's a lot of poppycock. Come with me and I'll show you this spacecraft that crashed outside of the US. So big they had to put a building over it. Let's go. I'll take you there and I'll show it to you. How many investigative journalists do you know that will investigate something and then keep the results to themselves? It sort of defeats the whole object of being an investigative journalist, doesn't it? So, Stephen Greenstreet's investigative journalist. He's investigated all this stuff and he's found a lot of interesting stuff, and he actually shows evidence that it's all rubbish. It's all a UFO, an ET gang behind the scenes. The same names, just as Sean Kirkpatrick said. Sean Kirkpatrick is sick and tired of all the science fiction stories. These people are coming forward, they're telling him stories. Nobody showed AARO any tangible evidence. That's what the report says. If anybody could show anybody tangible evidence, someone would have done it by now. Someone probably would have done it a long time ago. And the stories all over the bloody place, as I said yesterday, that Diana Pasulka, 1 minute she's with Gary Nolan, she's out at ET spacecraft crash site picking up materials. When she's interviewed a few years later, oh no, I can't tell you anybody that's got any of these materials. It's all verbal. All this information is passed down verbally. There's no drawings. There's no no schematics. There's no. So 1 minute she's handling ET material, next minute she's telling you there isn't any. It's all contradictory because it's science fiction. And I made a bold prediction, back in 2022 when Gary Nolan was on there, being interviewed by Ross Coulthard, and he said, I've been talking to insiders. I know it's coming before Christmas. Big announcement coming before Christmas. Came and went. Christmas 2022, Christmas 2023 came and went. No big announcement because there's nothing to disclose because it's all rubbish. And Lou Elizondo now, this is going to be the year 2024, it's all bubbling away under the surface, something big is coming, Can't say anything else, of course, because his publisher's watching what he's saying. Am I going to be holding up a copy of Lou Elizondo's book in a few months' time? Like I did last time. Written by Hans Christian Andersen, the most prolific writer of fairy tales in modern history of modern literature. It'll be interesting it's going to get torn to pieces, I suspect, this book, when it comes out. They've all got books out. I don't read the Connecting with Consciousness rubbish, and completely that's a claptrap. But he's not backing down. He's angry. Angry at the government. AARO has put out this report saying there's nothing to it. All the Piffle-Peddlers are. Because if people believe what AARO's report says, no one's going to go along and pay sometimes up to $2,000 to hear them speak about it. And if you look at the speaking fees they get at these alien con, well, the con part is certainly right, isn't it? Same crowds of people presenting at all of these Star Trek conventions, alien con, all this stuff. It's the same group of people, and they're making a very tidy living out of it. As Tim Burchett said, it's an industry. They want to perpetuate that. They want to keep selling books. They want to keep selling DVDs. They want to get $5,000 for going and talking at a conference. Go and get a talking fee. That's what this is all about. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with truth of extraterrestrials coming to this planet. Because if it was true, someone would have presented some tangible evidence long before now. When Avi Loeb was saying Oumuamua was an alien spacecraft, no one was telling him to shut up, were they? No one was trying to hide that. People looked at it to see if it was an alien spacecraft. It turned out to be rock. But that no one tried to hide it, did they? And when you think of it, all these aerospace companies. Can you imagine an aerospace company designing a modern stealth aircraft? But they're not using CAD. They're not writing anything down. It's all in their heads. Every single component, every single electrical connection, every single instrument, it's all in their head. It's passed down verbally, It's passed down verbally, so it can't be hacked or stolen. Have you ever heard anything quite as ridiculous as that? So where is all this going? Nowhere. I've made a bold prediction before, and I'll make the bold prediction again. Disclosure is not coming this year. Disclosure that ET, extraterrestrials, are coming to this planet, or ever have come to this planet, is not coming this year. It's not coming next year. It's not coming the year after that, or the year after that. If ET arrives, it'll be on every channel, all over the internet. Everybody will know about it. If SETI find ET out in the galaxy, then everyone and his dog is going to know about it. It's not going to be covered up. It's not going to be hidden, And what makes these people think that the Americans are the only people that can disclose this? Why doesn't anybody else, with all this tangible evidence of ET coming here, why doesn't anybody from any of those countries, one person involved in one project in any of those countries, come forward and say, here's a bit of tangible evidence? Because it just isn't there. ET will either disclose themselves by turning up and landing on the White House lawn, metaphorically, could be anywhere, but it'll be television coverage, every TV channel, every internet channel. Personally, I don't think they will turn up. I think they'll be discovered by SETI, by FAST, the thing in China, looking out into the galaxy, looking out into the universe, and they'll be detected that way. I don't think they're coming here. There's certainly no tangible evidence to show they're coming here. Goodness knows why people like Gary Nolan would attack SETI. What is the point of attacking other researchers looking for the same thing? There seems to be a bit of a divide there. Flying saucer gang, ET. Oh yeah, they're coming here. Have tea with them every Wednesday afternoon. There's this little gang, and there's the other gang that's seriously looking for them with very expensive instrumentation. There's something being built here in Western Australia, up in the Murchison area of Western Australia, the Square Kilometre Array, big radio telescope. Now this one is different to FAST, and it's different to VLA in America, a very large array in America. In that, if you Google it, they've just started putting the antennas together. They're going to put 150,000 antennas. They're putting out a big mesh for these antennas to sit on, and they look like little Christmas trees, cross Christmas trees. Imagine that's pointing at you. Cross Christmas trees. They're log periodic antennas, and they're going to be looking between 50 and 350 megahertz. Now, none of the other radio telescopes cover that frequency band. They're all up 1 gig and above, 1000 megahertz and above. All the big radio telescopes, they're all looking at the water hole, the hydrogen line. Hydrogen line, if you look at the radio spectrum, you get up to 1 gig and 1.4 gigs, I think it is. 1.404202 is the hydrogen line. Next line across, if you can imagine these spikes being on a spectrum analyzer, next one along is the hydroxyl line, 1.6 gig. And they reckon between the hydrogen line and the hydroxyl line is where any SETI signals would appear. It's a quiet part of the microwave spectrum. You've got these two nice big spikes. And it's really like bookends, if you like. So if you put a message in there, someone's going to see it. And this thing that's being built in Western Australia at the moment, the Square Kilometre Array, is looking at these much lower frequencies. It's looking at between 50 megahertz and 350 megahertz. So it's not even looking at the microwave region. And the reason for that is, as the galaxies and stars get further and further away, they Doppler shift low. Okay. The signals from them get low. Light gets low. The frequencies are getting lower and lower and lower. So they're going to be looking at stuff that's further and further away, looking at the lower frequencies. So, something moves away, the light from it gets lower and lower and lower, lower in frequency. And so they're going to be looking at stuff that's a very long way away in that frequency spectrum between 50 and 350 megs. And someone was saying the other day, someone was involved in the project, said it's going to be super sensitive. It's so sensitive, this thing, that it may even detect aliens out in the galaxy. Now, that's not going to be commissioned probably for another 5 years, which is rather disappointing. But I think it will be interesting when it is, because it's looking at a part of the radio spectrum that has not been looked at before by any of these radio telescopes. Apart from Arecibo might have been able to look in that region. But of course that doesn't exist anymore. So that's just an aside, really. Something that I think is far more realistic. And I think that you might get an announcement from the Australian CSIRO, who run the telescope, the scientific organisation, government-owned scientific organisation here in Australia, if they detect aliens out in the galaxy or out in the universe. Certainly ET is not coming here. Nothing is coming. No big announcement is coming. The fanboys will continue to keep jumping up and down because they have no choice. They have to say it's a cover-up because no one will pay to go and see them. If everyone believes what AARO are telling them. Personally, I do. I believe what Sean Kirkpatrick said in that thing he put in the Scientific American back on the 19th of January. As a UFO hunter, he found there's no ET involvement in any of this stuff. The official AARO report come out. Now, Sean Kirkpatrick's thing was a private thing in Scientific American, but it was in Scientific American. It's not in the Beano. It's not in Nexus magazine, sorry. I'm not thinking about getting a new four-wheel drive Lexus magazine. I'd probably get a new patrol rather than a Lexus. But if I was going to get something like that. Now, yeah, so it's all, take my word for it, it's all complete and utter rubbish. The fanboys, the Piffle-Peddlers can't say anything else. Just think about it, you know. They cannot say anything else. As soon as they do, they're finished. No more books, no more talks, no more money for doing presentations. Just think about it, you know. There will not be any disclosure this year. There won't be any disclosure next year. There will never be any disclosure that ET is coming here, unless ET turns up and it's on every television channel and every internet channel. No one's back engineering alien spacecraft. No one's got any alien technology. No one's got any alien biology. You've only got to look at the stuff that's coming through, you know, with aircraft, you know, super secret aircraft and all this sort of stuff. There is no ET technology there. They'll burn paraffin to push them around the sky, you know. I mean, they might have some sort of clever electronic super high voltage around them to upset radar and stuff like that. I think one or two of them have got that, and if you put a spike on the front, put super high voltage on the front, it reduces the drag on the front of it. But that's not from ET. That's from smart guys at Lockheed, you know, and other places that make these things. No ET technology here on Earth. And in 5 or 10 years' time, you can watch this video, and you can watch all the videos put out by Gary Nolan and Ross Coulthard and Lou Elizondo and Hal Puthoff and all these other people, and then you can make your own, and it'll be obvious to you who has been right all along and who has been selling you a lot of bullshit. I've just noticed something. Would you believe that I am? Because I'm normally out in the garden with the hat. You know, you can't really see me very clearly, but I'm actually older than Simon Holland. You know, that Professor Simon Holland. I'm actually older than him. Maybe I'm from the Carillion star system, eh? But yeah, I think it's, as an aside, I think it's a bit cheeky him calling his channel Professor Simon Holland. He's not a professor, and you know, he tells people that he wants to make science films that you don't get to see on ordinary mainstream TV. What he's actually doing is making science fiction films that you don't see on mainstream television. Most of what he puts out is fanciful nonsense, to be perfectly honest. And the guy, when he was talking about Cobra Mist on Orford Ness, you know, the Over the Horizon radar project that was done in the late 70s, the early 70s, sorry, by the Americans at Orford Ness. Yeah, it's complete and utter rubbish. I don't know where he got his radio expert from, but he's one of these very few radio experts that seems to know absolutely nothing whatsoever about radio. Saying the antenna's the wrong way around, and VHF over the horizon radar, and HF over the horizon radar can't see stealth aircraft. And of course, it's the only sort of radar that can see stealth aircraft, because the signals bounce down off the ionosphere. It sees the aircraft in plan view. You know, if you can imagine big aircraft, you know, something like B2. Radar pulses are coming down on it from the ionosphere. They can see it. You know, VHF, UHF radars can't see them. Yeah, it completely are the wrong way round. Seemed completely and utterly clueless to me. This expert that Simon Holland dug up from somewhere, and I think it was the 117 Nighthawk when it first came out. The Americans flew it around the planet and challenged anybody to detect it. And the Australians detected it all the way across with the HF over the horizon radar, because it was looking down on it. And they told the Americans, you know, the course it was on, how fast it was going, what altitude it was at. And the Americans didn't like that very much. True story. Look it up. Google it. Anyway, I think that's enough waffle from me. I can't think of anything else. I mean, I don't want to duplicate too much of what I said yesterday. I mean, a couple of things had to be duplicated, but just take my word for it. It's all a load of rubbish. No, nothing is coming. No big announcement is coming. Bassett, all these people are wasting their bloody time, and they're wasting your money, more to the point. And this will become apparent probably, I don't know, in 5 years, 10 years. People are going to get sick and tired of the same old stories over and over again. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Never comes. As I said, unless it comes from Murchison, Square Kilometre Array, SETI, Fast, something like that. Or they land somewhere and have a chat. Don't think that's very likely, to be honest. All right, well, I think I'd better get on with my Sunday. So, as usual, if you've struggled through the video all the way to this point, thank you very much indeed for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again.